Like great stones scattered upon the sea, the Greek islands still bear witness to the changing myths of Western man. Here Theseus killed the Minotaur, here Icarus flew too close to the sun, here Ulysses beat his storm-tossed way back to Ithaca against the wrath of the sea god Poseidon. Today, a gentler god rules these waters. Upon the crags and promontories of even the most desolate islands, men have set the symbols of a new protective deity. Around church and shrine lie the vestiges of earlier times. Across the landscape, walls of rubble trace the broken history of our beginnings, the ruined stages of dramas we often can only guess. Beneath the sea lie mysterious shapes and littered cargo from the sunken ships of antiquity. Fathoms below the surface rests a burial sarcophagus that never reached its intended occupant. Here, the columns for a temple that was never built. And what of Atlantis? Does it too lie drowned in the Aegean? Object of search since Plato first described it. Is it fiction? Or is it the shadowed memory of a remote actual event, reshaped by human imaginings? With the Calypso anchored at the island of Syra off northern Crete, Cousteau searches for evidence to prove or disprove scholarly theories that Atlantis and Minoan civilization were the same. Beneath the helicopter, Syra is an arid waste. It is hard to imagine that once it was forested and green, that these scattered Minoan ruins may have been part of the Atlantis Plato described. Minoan arts and trade dominated the eastern Mediterranean for 1,500 years. Then, in the 15th century before Christ, Minoan power went into abrupt decline. Why? What suddenly had so weakened Crete that she now could be overrun by Greeks from the mainland? Because Syra is one of the few shelters for ships on Crete's exposed northern coast, Cousteau is hopeful that its surrounding waters may reveal useful clues. Helped into his suit by diver Patrick Delamotte, whom he jokingly calls his favorite dresser, Cousteau, with companions Raymond Call and Yvonne Jacoletto, prepares to make an underwater reconnaissance. With a camera to record their finds, they make their first dive beside the peninsula that juts like a bony finger into the sea.
The helicopter views look promising, but we are totally unprepared for the astonishing apparition that awaits us. Along the slanting shelf of the bottom, there stretches, perpendicular to the shore, an uneven wall, indented by bays or scallops, extending some 100 yards long and 30 yards wide. It is, in fact, an immense deposit of pottery, literally hundreds of thousands of vases, pitchers, and cups. Though a few lie detached, most have been cemented together in one huge bristling mass by the chemical action of the sea. What on earth could have caused such an assemblage of pottery vessels, many still undamaged, and as serenely beautiful as this simple cup? Only later, remembering the base that broke the wall, will it occur to me that perhaps it was once a row of ancient ships, each laden with the jars by which traders transported oils, wines, spices, and other commodities in early times. Then, sunken, the cargoes had retained the rough contours of the hull as the ship's timbers rotted and disappeared. Yet, why would a dozen ships, fully laden, sink almost side by side as if tied to a pier or jetty? And what is the significance of the random building stones we find? As we drift in growing puzzlement, I meet another living creature, an aplysia or sea hare, a large mollusk without a shell. Willingly, it joins in wordless play with a stranger, but it gives me no answers.
Still bemused by the multiple questions raised by the pottery wall, Cousteau returns to the deck of Calypso. To Chief Diver Albert Falco, he describes the extraordinary accumulation of artifacts lying beneath the Calypso's hull. Some of the pots can be pried loose quite readily, but most of the jars and cups are deeply embedded in the rigid mass.
Un peu soudés, mais si on les tire dessus, elles cassent. Tandis que les autres sont bien enfoncés.
A large chunk of the conglomerate is hoisted to the deck for a closer look.
Amenez-le par ici. Oui, c'est bien.
Though the vivid colors of the living algae will quickly fade, Cousteau believes the fragment will serve as an interesting exhibit, revealing the condition in which artifacts are often recovered from the sea.
C'est un petit morceau de cette falaise de poterie.
With Lazaros Kolonas,